it's Lauren here. A warning, this episode contains deep chats, lots of swear words, and some things you might find upsetting, but you know that we cannot help but overshare.
Hi, it's Gemma.
And Lauren.
And you're listening to Oops, We Overshared Again.
A podcast all about oversharing because we just cannot help ourselves.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back to the podcast.
We are really happy to be here today, and we're going to be talking about something. Don't laugh, we are happy.
Usually we hate it.
We're going to be talking about something that does not make us happy.
Oh, I see where you're going with that now. I was like, that was a weird thing to say.
So we're going to be talking about how shit being hungover in your 30s is.
Hang on a minute. It's not even just being hungover in my 30s. I didn't know what being hungover was until I was in my 30s. It's like, I never really had hangovers, ever. I
did when I was younger. Around about 25 was the turning point for me.
Oh, see, it might have been for me, to be fair. I probably stopped going out as much when I was like 25, 27, thereabout. But I definitely, when I was a teenager or even like in my early 20s, I never, like, I had to be really drunk to be like, have a headache. And now I have that all the time. And I'd never, until I went, to be fair, I was once when I was in Canada when I was 18. And up until that, like, other than that, I had never once been sick, anything to do with alcohol, until I was probably about 28.
Okay, so I'll tell you this. I've been sick a few times from alcohol, especially when I was a teenager. And I hate being sick with a passion. Like, to the point that it could be considered like a borderline phobia.
Yeah.
Like, I stop myself being sick. I get so upset about it. And although there have been a few occasions, there's one that really sticks in my mind. I was 14, and our family friends had their nephew staying with them. So he was quite a bit older than me, and I thought he was so cool. Anyway, he gave me and my friend Strongbow, but like a lot of it.
Nice.
I was absolutely hammered. He walked me home, and I remember just thinking, I'm just so drunk. Anyway, I got home, I got straight into bed, and you know that, which rookie mistake, you know when you're like laying in bed and the room starts to spin.
Yeah.
And I was so sick, like horrendously sick. And to this day, bearing in mind we're talking like, Jesus, nearly 20 years ago, I still can't smell Strongbow without wanting to heave.
Oh, I hate those kind of things. I'm like that with omelettes. I know that's so random. But I
had drunk on an omelette.
No, but I had a sickness bug when I was like between 15 and 17, because I know which boyfriend I was with, and to try and make me feel better, he made me an omelette to try and eat something, and it made me sick. And so I've not eaten an omelette since.
I've paid yourself by boyfriends. I was about
it was my first boyfriend, so it was like it's an easy one.
That's cute. Well, he seems like a nice guy.
He was a nice guy. He still is, probably.
Well, congratulations, first boyfriend of Lauren. You are mentioned and you are recognised as a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. He's not allowed to talk to me, though.
Ooh, shade.
What? No, he's actually not allowed.
By his girlfriend, or?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cute that they care this later on in their lives.
I know. He messaged me. I commented on a photo of his child, because he's got a child who's, let me try and work this out. He was 2 when I was with him, and so he's like 15, maybe.
Was this guy when you went out with him?
19, and he was 17 when he had him. So yeah, he's about end of high school. And I commented on a picture of him, because he put a picture of it. I mean, obviously you don't expect children to grow, do you, when you don't see them? It's like a weird like thing that just happens. And And I was really close to him. So pretty much every time that he had his son, he used to stay at my house, at my mum's house. So I was really close to the kids. And so I commented on it saying like, oh, I can't believe, I think it was his birthday. I was like, I can't believe how big he's got. And anyway, then he DMs me and he's like, I've been told that you shouldn't comment on my stuff anymore. Thank you. This was like 2 years ago, maybe. I was like,
Is this the baby's mum?
No, she was fine with me.
That's just weird, man.
He's got another 2 children now with this new person, but yeah, really weird.
How strange. Do you know what funnily enough, I was talking to Ben about this the other day. So I went out with this guy for like, oh my God, probably like 5 years nearly, on and off. We got together, I think I was about 17. Is it 5? Yeah, because we broke up when I was about 21-ish. We were very on again, off again. But I've got a lot of time for him. Even now, like if he was to ring me up, I'd have a chat with him, whatever. I mean, he wouldn't, because he hasn't got my number, but you know what I'm saying. But we're friends on Facebook, right? Anyway, when I started going out with Ben, so before that, so we broke up. He went out with this other girl who I knew from going out with him, because it was like a friend of his sister's, whatever. And she was really rude to me when I saw her, right? Even though I'm like, I knew you were going out with him. Like, why are you being a dick? Didn't, like, you know, whatever. Anyway, I hadn't seen him for years. Went to a mutual friend's engagement party, and I went with my mum. Anyway, he's got there. The friend whose engagement party it was, his dad starts going, oh, look. I can't say his name. Dave, that's my go-to. Oh, look, Dave, it's the one that got away. And I'm like, enough of that. We don't need that kind of vibe. Anyway, the girlfriend, who at this point he's with, has children with, is like seethingly staring at me like, so I'm like, okay, I wasn't drinking because I was driving, so I was sober. So I just went up and I was like, oh, hi, Sharon.
They're middle-aged people. They're not actually your age.
I mean, they're not, but I can't say their names.
Yeah, but you're aging them massively with these names.
Yeah, right? So I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Gemma. And all I get is, I know who you are. Okay. But then even then, a couple of years later, I saw them at the same person's wedding whose engagement party had been. And she didn't say anything to me. She just stared at me like,
and it's so weird.
But I wouldn't mind. But we're talking like, it had been like, I don't know, 10 years prior that I'd gone out with him. And also, like, we were kids. You've got a house and children with him. I don't want him. Please, never again.
This is what I mean. And it gives me a bit of a complex, because this person lives in Ipswich and now I live in Ipswich. And I'm sometimes like, it could be, do you know, I actually had a dream. I want to say 2 weeks ago, that we rock up. So for anyone that doesn't know, but can I just say, by the way, really funny, I'm talking into this mic and I've just looked down and my wire is on the floor. It's not actually plugged in. It's doing fuck all, but there we go. I'll continue. It looks professional. Keep up the smoke and mirrors. So anyone that doesn't know, me and Gemma are going to a Christmas party together this year. It's like an organised like party night, and I had a
podcast Christmas do, right?
It is our podcast Christmas do. I had a dream a couple of weeks ago that we rock up, and we're likely on a table with other people, because I think it's like tables of 12. And I had a dream that I rocked up and he was on our table, this bloke, with his messages, and it was this like really awkward situation, and you were just winding up the situation the whole time.
I mean, that sounds quite likely.
Yeah, but it was so funny because I was like, where did that come from? But it just showed, because it was like, it really threw me of like, what do you mean I'm not allowed to comment on? Like,
well, they say that if you speak about a dream, it doesn't come true. So hopefully by you now sharing that.
Was it not a dream where you thought we were going to have a double engagement?
I mean, that might still happen though.
Yeah, but you said it can't come true if it was a dream.
Trying to make you feel better so that your psycho ex doesn't turn up.
Well,
You can't talk to me. Look the other way.
I was
other way.
I was talking the other day about that situation and how obviously we're going to this party and whatever else, and like, you know, there is a slight possibility, it's very slim, but there is a possibility. And I was like, do you know, if it ever happened, if they organised it, I'd be mad. But if they both accidentally proposed to us on the same night, I think it would be fucking hilarious. I feel like we'd have a right. I feel like
Ben's not going to do it yet. Next year.
Do you think next year?
I know next year.
Mine will be next year as well.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I mean, we deviate massively.
We do. But we'll go to a Christmas party. We'll get drunk.
So basically, yeah. But back on topic. When I get drunk now, I die.
Oh, same. Like,
I don't feel I drink more than I used to.
No, so it's weird with me because it depends on the day. Like, I went to, you know this, I went out with a friend like a month or so ago, had 2 glasses of wine. I spent the entire next day throwing up. I went to the same place for my mum's book launch, drank way more. Like, I was fucking slaughtered, Gem. It was a free bar. At one point, I chucked someone out of the way and I was like, excuse me, you're in my way. I need to get to the bar. I was just like walking around.
Move.
So then, yeah, so I was like that, not even slightly hungover the next day.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I must admit, like, I look back at times, like, for example, when my sister got married, I looked after my niece for like the ceremony and the first bit of the meal, like the first part of the after party thing, until she fell asleep. And then I was like, that's it, I can get on it now. And I got very, very drunk very, very quickly. And there's photos of me and Ben outside smoking. I gave up smoking like 11 years ago. And I'm like, I didn't even know that I was smoking. So I saw these photos. I mean, this was also 6 years ago now, thinking about it, 5 or 6 years ago. But I remember the next day, I mean, I did feel like I died. I was actually still drunk, if we're being totally honest. I took my contacts out when I got back, and then I couldn't find my glasses. So the only thing I could find was my prescription sunglasses. So I was walking around with these sunglasses on, and not because I was hungover, but also because I couldn't see. But I think back to the sheer quantity that I drank then, and I was very hungover, don't get me wrong, but now I will be just as hungover, to be honest, probably worse, drinking half of that amount.
I've never been able to drink. I don't get me wrong, I used to get very drunk, and what I used to drink was probably harder, but I've never been able to drink huge quantities. Like, I'm the friend that, more because I get like, I have this thing, the same happens with food, which like it's really weird. When I get to a point where I'm like, you know, that point when you're eating or when you're drinking or when you're doing anything and you're like, that's probably enough, like I've hit my, like that's probably me kind of done for, you know, whatever it is that I'm having.
Yeah.
When I get to that point, I literally cannot swallow anymore. Me and Steve went out for lunch the other day and it was just like eating food, but I got to this point and this piece of food could not for the fucking life of me swallow me. I was like, I'm gonna have to fucking spit it out in a minute, because I get to a point where I just can't. And I'm the same with alcohol. I get to this point where I just literally physically won't go down.
Can you teach me how you get this, please? Because I
don't know, but it's really frustrating when you're out and about and you can't swallow your food and you're like, I'm gonna have to fucking spit it out in a fucking minute, 'cause it's fucking ridiculous. But I've always been the same with alcohol as well. And I've always been that friend that if I like bought a bottle of wine with someone, I'm the one that gets like, I'm the shit one in the situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, they get 2 glasses of wine and I get 1 glass of wine. Do you know what I mean? Because they're much faster than me and whatever as well. But yeah, I've never been very good at drinking like a lot, but I do get drunk very quickly. So it's never been like a problem.
You're a cheap date. You sound ideal.
Oh, I am a complete cheap date.
This is great.
I do get very drunk very quickly. I mean, I was taking anxiety pills, to be fair, or I'd taken an anxiety pill, I should say. But the night I met Steve, I had 2 glasses of wine and I'd taken a pill, and he thought I was on cocaine. But he didn't know I wasn't on cocaine until after our second date. And I was like, the fact that you just continued to date me thinking that I showed up to our first date on cocaine, I feel like says a lot more about you than it does about me.
It really does.
Really.
But, you know, great to know, Steve.
He was just like, she's up for a good time. I'm here. I'm here.
There you go.
But no, I get drunk really, really quickly. You'll see it soon.
I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like well, I say this, I feel like I don't, but then something will happen and I'll be like, I'm a lot more drunk than I think.
Mm.
Or I'll say something and then I'll be like, you are drunk, Gemma.
Mm.
You should probably stop that. But I've never, or on very, very few occasions, have I ever got myself really, really like paralytic drunk. Because I'm not very good. It's an anxiety thing, I think, as well. I'm not very good at letting go of control. So I wouldn't be very good on drugs because I need to still feel like I've got that element of control there. So I never let myself get completely like passed out drunk, you know?
See, I don't. That doesn't affect me at all when it comes to alcohol. I will.
Oh no, I can't. I get to a point and then I'm like start drinking water. But then when I was younger, I would get home or back to my friend's house normally, and I would eat probably best part of half a loaf of bread, just dry. Because in my head it was soaking up alcohol. Drink a couple of pints of squash and go to bed, and I'd wake up in the morning bright and breezy, feeling great. Oh, and I'd always have a shower and wash my hair when I got in from a night out.
Who's got the fucking effort for that? I don't
know, but it was just, but then because I never used to get hungover, I was like, this is why, because I follow these meticulous steps.
Fair enough. OCD kicking in.
Right. But then 25 comes around. And in fact, it was just before I was 25. We went out. Do you know where Romford is? You probably don't, do you? Oh, you do. There used to be a racetrack called the Romford Dogs. And for my birthday this particular year, I went to this place called Romford Dogs. And all my friends, we all went out anyway. We went out in Romford afterwards. And we got hotels. We booked hotels nearby. Anyway, I had started seeing this guy who I just thought was absolutely beautiful. I thought he looked like Plan B. Do you remember Plan B?
I do.
Anyway, a little bit of a backstory with that. So I not long broke up with one of my many fiancés, and me and my sister we went out for some drinks. We went out to Romford. It was a new place I wanted to go all the time. And we saw these guys out in the smoking area. And I said to this tall, handsome one, oh, you look like Plan B. And he was like, anyway, we all got chatting. My sister is 3 years younger than me, but she's really, really beautiful and very, very attractive. And so growing up, she's always been, if ever there's been like male attention to...
Yeah, she's not the person you want to go out with.
Definitely not, right?
I know what you mean.
So I've seen this guy and I'm like, oh my God, he's so beautiful. Anyway, they've followed us in and I've gone to Courtney. I've gone, oh, that's my sister. I've gone, oh, like, quick, let's go to the toilet. Like, let's leave these losers behind, thinking I can't deal with the rejection when he fancies my sister over me. Grabbed her hand, like run basically through this club or bar to get to the toilet. We've come out the toilet and they're stood there. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Say goodbye to my dream. And lo and behold, he fancied me.
Aww.
And I was so shocked. And following that, anyway, we dated for a bit and it was really lovely. But on this birthday, we all went out in Romford. He was out too. And it was going to be the night that I was going to, you know, do it. So I bought sexy underwear. Had it all planned out. Anyway, I got fucking smashed. So drunk. And this is one of the few times I have got that drunk that I lose control. And I don't remember this. Apparently, I was taking my contact lenses out in the bar and flicking them at people. Because I'd had enough. Took my lashes off. And then, I don't remember getting back. He apparently took me back to the hotel. And I was like, wait here. I've got to go back to my room. One of my best friends then come back a couple of hours later and found me passed out with half of my new bra on, 1 foot in my knicker, just still had the tags on. He was passed out in his room. Nothing had happened. And then she, the absolute hero that she is, took me to the bathroom, put her fingers down my throat to make me throw up, and then put me to bed.
Oh. Do you know, talking about that kind of situation with going out with like people like that, like your sister, where you feel like they're the one that always gets the attention and stuff. I remember this situation. We used to always go to the pub. There were 3 of us, like best friends, that used to go to the pub all the time, and it was the one that everybody, you know, fancied and whatever else whenever we went out, and it was really fucking annoying because we were all single, and you know when you're just like, just fuck off, like seriously. And one night we were all getting ready around my house and we were drinking. We had like a bottle of wine and whatever, and we're drinking. We always used to get ready around mine because my mum used to have a hair salon in our house when she was a hairdresser. So loads of photos. They're funny because they pop up on Facebook every now and again from people I don't even know, and I'm like, that's my house. From parties and pre-drinks and stuff. And we were getting ready around ours, and my friend Jess, but all 3 of them know the story, so it's not a problem. But my friend Jess pulled me aside and she was like, I think we should sabotage tonight. I think we should make sure we get the guy. And I'm like, what have we got in plan? Well, like, what have we got in store? And she's like, I'll tell you what. Anyway, we walked up, and Holly, the other one, was incredibly drunk at this point. And she sat in the mirror, like picture like a hairdressing mirror with like the little shelf and whatever. And she sat there, and we're like, we'll do your hair. We'll do it. So we
very Mean Girls.
It was very Mean Girls. So I can't remember if we straightened it or curled it, but we did something nice to what she could see. And at the back, we backcombed it into like a big knot. And then we went out. We're like 19 at this point. Like 18, 19.
I love that you did that. That's literally horrendous.
Oh, honestly, wasn't one of the nicer moments, but there you are. But no, we definitely did that. But what I can totally relate to that thing of just like, oh my God, because there's always that. And actually, do you know, one of my oldest friends, Hannah, love her to bits, but when we were at school, she was always that girl as well. She's always been, since we were at primary school, she's been like the cool girl, you know?
Yeah, I got that.
She's 100%. And I see her maybe twice a year. I don't see her very often anymore. But me, her husband, and Steve are going out for dinner on Saturday night. And it's so funny because Steve's met her a few times now. And the first time he met her, he was like, Hannah's funny, isn't she? And I'm like, do you want to fuck her? Like, is that what's happening, Steve? Do you want to fuck her? And that's just like my natural go-to. And it's so weird because actually talking about that first boyfriend of mine, bear in mind, we were together for a year and a half. He never once met Hannah because I wouldn't let him. I was like, I had this like paranoia that everyone would run off with Hannah. And it's so funny because even now that we're like, me and Steve are hanging out with her and her husband, I'm already thinking about what I'm going to wear on Saturday night. And if I was going out with you, I wouldn't even think about it. And it's this like, and she'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? But she's also that person that, and I don't mean this in a negative way because she's like self-confessed. She's quite, she's always got eyelashes on. She's always fake tan. She's always, so even if she rocked up in gym wear, she would look way more put together than me on an effort day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just always, I have this like natural competition in me, and I have to like cut it out. I don't know what it is. But the thing is, if I've got alcohol that night as well, I'm going to end up, I don't know.
Flaunting your peacock feathers.
I am. It's going to be a problem.
It's funny. Have you ever seen that film? I think it's called The Duff.
Oh, I feel like I have, but I can't think.
You'd love it. Oh, by the way, I watched Do Revenge the other night.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. We'll get back to that in a minute. Yeah, The Duff, and it stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend.
Oh, I don't think I have.
And when I watched it, I related a lot. And I feel like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, I've been the Duff a lot in my life.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 incredibly stunning, gorgeous sisters and a gorgeous mum. Not that I'm saying, you know, that I've been beaten with the ugly stick, no, but by the same token, it's like, you know what I mean? It's that kind of competition you're talking about. It kind of, I feel like sometimes it must be something almost primal within us, like how when men are around potential mates and when they're around other men, and that I think it must be something similar, because I almost feel that natural, that every time I go out with my sisters and my mum, I always feel fat and frumpy. Because and it's not even necessarily that they're overly glamorous or anything. My sister she's down the yard most of the time. Like, she could turn up covered in horse shit, but I just feel like, oh, she's so much prettier than I. Do you know what I mean? I think it's definitely that comparison and that.
And actually, I've not really thought about it before, but obviously I have, other than Kirsty, but she came into my life a lot later as stepsister. But it's always been just me and my brother, and Hannah's actually probably the closest thing I've ever had to a sister growing up.
Yeah.
So actually in fact, our dads lived together at one point when they both got kicked out of their wives' houses. So
They're literally sisters.
yeah, we did kind of grow up, and our mums were best friends, our brothers were best friends, we were, and our dad, like all of us were. So yeah, so I yeah, that does, like you say, it makes sense.
But it must be something like that, because it does seem weird, and I always find it. And I've got a friend like your Hannah, who, her name's Jenna, and we met in primary school, and she is incredibly glamorous. Like, she looks stunning all the time, and I do always find I make more effort when I go and see her.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like to think if I go out for dinner, I make effort anyway. Like, I usually, to be fair, even if like me and Steve go out for dinner, because he drives and I don't have to walk anywhere, I usually put, like, I'll wear jeans or whatever, but I'll put on a pair of heels and I'll maybe put on some eyeshadow. But I don't massively go over the top, and I think about it in that moment. I'm like, what's clean? Let's wear that. Whereas
I've just got images of you rummaging around clothes, sniffing it.
Yeah, literally picking things up off the floor, going nah. But I pre-plan when it comes to her, and and I always have, and it's
got to be a primal thing.
Yeah,
almost like a threat.
I did my roots today.
Huh?
I did my roots today. Like, I know it sounds like, when you actually like really pick it apart, like, not even necessarily consciously. I mean, I'm going out for dinner on Sunday night as well. I've got quite the weekend for my birthday, and yet that hasn't crossed my mind. I have no idea what I'm wearing because I'm going out with my family and Steve.
So you're like, a potato sack will do.
Yeah,
there's no threat to my man.
Well, there's the thing as well. I might be hungover again. That's the problem.
Oh.
So yeah, because I cannot function on a hangover. That's my problem. And I did something incredibly stupid a couple of weeks ago, where it was for the book launch, when I got really drunk. I was so lucky I wasn't hungover, because it honestly did not even occur to me once, which is so unprofessional, but it just didn't. It did not occur to me that the following day at 10 a.m. I had a call with a brand new client that I'd never met before. It did not even go through my head once. Had it been anyone else, we'd have probably been fine. But someone knew that I could have, like, honestly, it could have gone so bad, that had paid close to £200 for an hour of my time. And I'm there getting that drunk the night before. Like, luckily, it was fine, and I would have refunded her or done it again had I not been. But it just didn't even, like, compute. I went in there with one glass of wine and I came out with about 15. Not quite, but...
How funny.
It's a nightmare.
I do think, though, with things like that, it's very you don't sort of think past it. That is one of the things I think with alcohol. You don't kind of think past the immediate. It does definitely cloud your judgment. And
I'm definitely a drink for, not confidence, but drink to be more fun kind of person, I guess. Not that I should.
You're so fun.
It's my biggest complex. Do you know, I wrote an Instagram post about this the other day.
I know, we've had this conversation, but literally whenever we've met up, and even on here, we always have such a laugh.
Yeah, no, see, I get so scared that I'm the most boring fucking person in the world. So I think I drink to, like, liven myself up, and then I have like regret of, like, fucking hell, I was a bit too fun. But I think that's why I do it. And I'll drink. Like, I was drinking on my own that night. Like, everyone was drinking, obviously, but Steve was driving, Kieran was driving, and my brother. Mum, I think, had like 2 drinks, and because she was nervous, she wasn't, like, do you know what I mean? It wasn't doing anything. I was talking to Hannah a lot because she was there with her mum, and they were fine. In fact, I'm pretty sure Hannah was driving. I honestly couldn't even tell you. I was just constantly going to the bar by myself and getting drunk.
Just like drank. Have you seen the video to Anti-Hero?
Yes.
That's you, and with Taylor and Taylor sitting there doing the shots. You're both, but that's the thing, isn't it? You got Taylor and then Taylor.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. I do. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a weird. But then I do hit a wall. So we went out after that. So we went to the wine boutique, and it closed at I think it was 10. And then we went down to a bar on the seafront afterwards. Just me, Steve had dropped Kieran at home, so it's just me, Steve, my mum, Graham, and 2 family friends. We went to a bar afterwards. And I had I wanted something else because I've been drinking wine all night, so I had a beer and I literally drank about that much of it, and then I had that thing where I'm like, I'm done, absolutely done. And then I'm like, should we go?
Just a quick question on the block thing.
Yeah.
Is it anything? So like if you hit the wall with alcohol, could you then drink like water?
Yeah, I think I could, but weirdly with food, it's everything.
Yeah.
I never seem to notice it with any other drink. It is just
I'm just wondering, like, if you hit that wall, because like for me, if I feel like I'm getting too drunk, then I'll drink water.
Do you know though? I think I genuinely do have, and I've always worried because my appetite is a lot smaller since I struggled with an eating disorder when I was 17, and I've always worried that my stomach isn't as good at stretching as it was. But also, I don't think I have a particularly a big either stomach or bladder or any of that, because do you know, when I went for a scan at the hospital a couple of weeks ago for something that they were checking to do with my ovaries, they I had my 2 pints of water that you're supposed to have, which is not like a huge amount, is it? No. And they couldn't see my ovaries because my bladder was bursting. And they said,
did they do the thing where they're like, go and empty out a third of your bladder?
No, I had to just empty it all when they did an internal.
Oh, okay.
But they were, which I thought they were going to do anyway. So I was a bit like, I don't know why we went through all of this, because last time they did one internal anyway, because that was the only way they could see it. But no, they just made me go and empty it out. But she said to me, do you drink a lot of water? And I said, honestly, no, like I'm really crap. And I was thinking that was the reason why I was really full. But she went, oh, that's weird. And I was like, why? And she went, well, because people that do drink a lot of water, they're the ones that look like you right now, because if you're dehydrated, your body sucks it all in, and your body hasn't sucked it all in. So
maybe because your body's so used to the little amount of water you give it.
I think it is. But I obviously can't. And sometimes, like, when I try, like, make an effort to drink more, I do actually physically struggle. And I'm like, and it wasn't until then I was a bit like, maybe I can't. Like, do you know what I mean? Maybe I do have, for some reason, a very small capacity.
Maybe.
Because I really did need a wee, like, desperately. And it was 2 pints.
Do you know, though, I think maybe that's it. Like, your body's just used to what you give it.
Yeah, I think that is true.
That scan thing, though, what I said to you about that, when I was pregnant with Elliot, because you have to drink a load of water for your scan, and I went in, and they went, oh, your bladder's a bit too full. Go and empty about a third.
How do you do that? Yeah.
How are you meant to do that? I tried.
Also, how do you know what's a third?
I don't know. I just sort of went for a wee and just stopped it.
It's like when it's
like before childbirth, and my pelvic floor was better than it is now.
Yeah, but still, a third is very specific. It's like when you're on a GPS and it says to turn left in 150 yards, and you're like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. next road on the left will do. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, but I don't know. My mum did the opposite. So when mum was going through her treatment for cancer, she had a scan. I think they were checking a cyst somewhere, and I went with her, and she did that thing of like, oh, I think it's just like a myth that you have to drink water. She did that, like, you know, like you can't use your phone in an airplane or an hospital because it will break all the machinery. She thought it was one of those, like, they just say that, you know, it's not like a real thing.
Just want to get you to drink more water.
So she went, yeah, it's just some big ploy to get people to drink more water. So she went to that and didn't drink any, and then they were like, no, hun, we can't see it. So then we had to go back in the waiting room for ages while she drank some water.
Drink your water.
Yeah. But yeah, but it also means then if I do drink water when I come home from a night out, I have only really got to drink a pint, and I've pretty much filled my capacity anyway. So it's not like I can. Do you know what I mean? It helps with the hangover.
Flushed all those toxins straight out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like the moral of this story is that growing old means you get hungover, and that is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't up for the growing old, but sure.
But the older we seem to get, the worse the hangovers get.
The worse the hangovers get, and apparently the insecurities don't get any better either.
No. But see, I also feel like now, the thing for me at the moment, insecurity wise, is it's like, you're not just, for me, I'm not just competing. It's not just like, oh, I want the attractive man in the bar to notice me, I'm like comparing myself to everyone on fucking Instagram, or am I being, I think well, for us, because I think when we were younger, there wasn't all this social media stuff as much as there is now.
Mhm. But we're also not dating, so it could be a lot worse.
No, this is very true. I mean, Ben and Steve are stuck with us forever.
Absolutely. And I'm sure after a couple of wines, I'll tell them both that when we have our Christmas party.
I'm going to threaten Ben and Steve, if they don't propose to us, we're going to propose to each other.
They'll be like, all right.
Yeah, fine.
It'll be like, Steve, you got to lift home. We'll leave them here.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that probably will happen, to be fair.
Yeah, it's quite likely.
Okay, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board on that one.
We will test the hungover theory in that instance, and we'll let you know how it goes.
I have read that if every other drink is a glass of water, you don't get a hangover.
Right.
I will test that theory because I can drink more than you can.
Okay.
You need to find a different theory to test.
Okay. Did you know carrots can't make you see in the dark?
I did. And do you know what else is really frustrating? I ate a lot of carrots when I was younger and I'm blind as a bat.
Well, apparently, and I can't remember the exact thing here, so don't bloody quote me, but it was some sort of, I can't remember if it was one or two, but it was some sort of World War effort to try and get kids to eat them because that was all there was.
I wish someone had told me because I thought it was
And it was something to do with
fact.
And it might have also been partly, obviously, they were all in the dark all the time because of the Blitz and stuff. And I'm sure there was like it will make you see in the dark, so it's like well worth you eat. And obviously they were in the dark. I'm sure it was something to do with that.
Wow.
But don't quote me. Don't tell your friends about that because they'll be like, no, it fucking wasn't.
Listen, we've got 150 downloads on this bad boy. This is basically going to go viral, Lauren. So you've got to be careful what you say.
I know. Oh, well, thank you for listening to this episode, which, as per usual, went off on some random tangents, but when the fuck doesn't it? At least we did actually talk about hangovers today, because sometimes we don't actually talk about the topic.
And then we have to change what the topic is when we're writing what the thing's about.
Still the intro goes, hi, we're going to talk about this today. And then we're like, no, we're not.
Yeah. But that's fine, because if you've reached this far into it, you know that that's not what we spoke about.
We don't even know, but we don't even try. We'll be like, hi, today we're going to talk about ghosts. So anyway, have you been hungover before? We don't even attempt to stay on topic. No. I don't even understand how we do it.
Oh, we have kind of semi-stayed on topic today.
I don't know why I'm still talking into the microphone.
No, you're still talking into a microphone that's not plugged in. But no, we have kind of stayed on topic, and we would love for you to share your hangover stories.
I want hangover pictures.
Yeah, we want hangover pictures.
That's what I want, to be honest.
Lauren wants pictures. I want stories. Both would be great.
Just pop them in the DMs. That'd be great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Share them and tag us if not. Absolutely. If you're happy to share them.
Absolutely. But yeah, so thanks for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. And we will be back next week with another special guest. Now that we're all famous and shit with our 150 downloads.
I mean, we're kind of dancing, but unless you're watching it, you can't see.
I mean, I wouldn't say this was a dance. It looks like that TikTok. Have you seen that TikTok where it's like...
Oh, I've got to be careful on my shoulder.
I was going to say, it's probably time to
go. Yeah. Thank you very much. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.